Hey friends, I'm Thomas Wooden Railway and it's time for another round of custom Thomas Wooden Railway model videos. And to kick things off, I have a very special version of the Flying Scotsman here that I want to show off today. This is the 2013 Flying Scotsman body that utilizes the Capsule Plarail face. And I am just so excited to show this off to you guys because I think it looks really good. And if I do say so myself, this is one of the few customs in this series where I actually did all of the work. So, wow, we have lots to talk about today. It's definitely weird, I will admit, to look at the Flying Scotsman and not see a face that looks like this. We are always used to the Flying Scotsman winking. Both of his versions, in fact, have this weird winking face that nowadays it's kind of assumed the people at Learning Curve looked at the wrong engine in the story, the Railway Series story, Tender Engines. It was Henry that was doing the winking while the Flying Scotsman was in the back of the picture. However, this Learning Curve model that you're looking at was sold from the late 90s to the early 2000s. It was discontinued, and then we had a Fisher-Price Mattel version that was sold for only about a year or two. But I came along and did this custom because while the Flying Scotsman is famous for a lot of things in the real world, he's kind of notorious for being very inaccurate in the Thomas Wooden Railway line. So hopefully this makes things just a little bit better. But like I said, you're looking at the Learning Curve version right now. I'm going to come back to that version a little bit later. And this right here is the Fisher-Price Mattel version. It features that same winking face, has a little bit of a different color, but the same overall wheel design, you know, two smaller wheels at the edges, two big wheels in the middle. The face is a bit bigger as well, and there's just some additional detailing all the way around. So this version of the Flying Scotsman, you know, I want to say it's not bad because I'm used to it, but a couple other people out there have talked about it in the past and have done videos on how the Wooden Railway version of Flying Scotsman just isn't that great. When it comes to comparing Flying Scotsman, for example, to his brother Gordon in the back there, the two are very different engines. However, we kind of gloss over that fact because we think of the Flying Scotsman as a very special engine. So what I ended up doing in order to make this custom was I found another one of these on eBay all by itself. And I wanted to find one in good condition, and that's one of the reasons why I went for the 2013 Fisher-Price version, because although there are a few Learning Curve versions floating around, they're usually kind of dinged up and have scratch marks like mine does right there. So I got really lucky. This custom came to me almost on a whim, and I'm kind of surprised nobody's thought of it a little bit quicker, but it all came to me when I was visiting Turtles and Thomas a while back. I actually went to his house and got to see his layout and his massive Thomas Wooden Railway collection that's on his shelves and everything. And I noticed he had a new in box 2013 Flying Scotsman, and then kind of next to it, he had a Capsule Plarail Flying Scotsman. And for those who don't know, this is a form of merchandise that is sold in Japan. It comes in these little plastic balls, and you almost have to like take them out of a vending machine. You insert coins and they pop out at random, and one of the characters you can get is the Flying Scotsman. I'm pretty sure this was released in honor of the Great Race back in 2016. So I kind of had this idea because I knew that the Capsule Plarail items are really well detailed and the faces are really great, but as you can tell, they're on a much smaller scale than Wooden Railway. However, the face was pretty large, and I just got to thinking, you know what, wouldn't it be cool if we could take that face and put it on that Flying Scotsman? Well, a short time later, after I got back to my own house, I started thinking more about this custom, and I realized, you know what, the Flying Scotsman's smoke box is so small that it may be possible to take the face off of the Capsule Plarail Flying Scotsman and basically move it from here to there. So I contacted Turtles and Thomas again. I was like, can you take a picture of your Flying Scotsman and the 2013 one next to each other so I can see how the face compares? And he literally took a picture like this, and it's not a 100% match, but it is pretty darn close, to be honest. And that right there kind of cemented what this custom was going to be. So the problem was I had to find two options. I have, as you can see, I have a normal 2013 Fisher-Price Mattel Flying Scotsman right here, but I didn't want to take the face off of this one because this item has become very hard to find in recent years. Fortunately, I still have one new in the box, but I'd rather keep that one new in box. So I was like, okay, this custom's probably going to take a while because I'm going to have to get some like parts and pieces and everything. And then lo and behold, I stumbled upon a listing on eBay, and it was just the Flying Scotsman main body right here. It didn't include his tenders. And I was like, you know what? That's perfect, because for this custom, I'm not going to be even doing anything to his tenders back here. It is all going, the focus is going to be on the main body right here. So that ended up working out perfectly. I did have to spend a decent amount of money. It was about $40 in order to get that Flying Scotsman part, which may seem like a lot, but considering the whole three-piece of the Flying Scotsman right here goes for well over $100, I thought that was a pretty good deal. So basically, I got an extra one of these in the mail, and if you look closely on this Flying Scotsman in front of you, you guys can tell that it's not new in box. It has a few blemishes here and there, but one of the reasons why I was willing to spend that much money just on the Flying Scotsman's body was that this Scotsman was in remarkable condition. In fact, really the only major thing I see is on the front here. You see on like the left front, actually the Scotsman's right front, just a little bit of a nick there. And I wanted to get a Scotsman that was in good condition in case I ever decided to use this item in future videos. But we'll talk about that just a little bit later. So I had kind of my donor Scotsman right here. He was all ready to go. Had no idea what was about to hit him. Same goes for the Plarail Capsule Flying Scotsman right here. I found one of these on eBay, and it was actually very cheap. It came from Japan, and it was $7 with free shipping. It didn't come with the tenders either. It was just the main Scotsman body like you see here. So I was like, okay, this custom is actually moving along quite quickly. In fact, you know, this took a while to get here. It took about pretty close to 2 weeks because it takes things a while for international shipping. But man, the second it got here, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I will admit, the Capsule Plarail toys are really, really nice. It's incredible how much detail they pack into such a small area, and it's a shame that overseas we don't get toys like this because this is really, really nice. I actually felt bad about cutting the face off here, but it kind of had to be done. So what I ended up doing is underneath here, there's just like a normal screw, and I was looking for a way potentially just to pop the face off. I was like, I'd really like to not cut into this toy here. That ended up not being the case. You unscrew this and everything just kind of falls out. There's actually a weight inside of these to give it a little bit of weight. Otherwise, they would just, they would be really, really light. But you kind of get to see how the wind up thing works right here. So it was cool to take a look inside this to see exactly what I was dealing with, but unfortunately, I was really hoping I could get up inside and just potentially, you know, pop the face off somehow, but that wasn't going to be the case. So I came along with a saw, and I very, very carefully started to saw down the smoke box here. And as you guys can see, I left little room for air. I mean, I was right on it. I cut as close to the funnel as I could, and I was using a pretty thick saw. There are probably, you know, smaller cutting options that are out there, but I was just using this regular saw that I had that I've used for other customs. So, man, I cut it really, really close, and that was the thing, is I did not want to damage the face. I could damage the Capsule Plarail Flying Scotsman here because I wouldn't be using it in the future, but the face had to remain pristine. So I actually got really, really lucky. As you guys can tell, this is just some plastic up front here. This isn't metal or anything. So it took a little bit, and I started sawing down, and of course I was checking. I mean, I'd saw like a couple of, I don't know what you would call it, like a couple of rotations, and I'd stop and take a look, and I'd saw a couple more and stop, and I'd saw for a couple more seconds, and I just did that until I got about halfway down, as you see right here. And then on the inside, I sawed through the plastic where the face was actually connected to some more components in the Flying Scotsman here. And at that point, I was able, I think I just, I had the saw in this opening here, and I just kind of flexed it one way, like this way, and the face just shot off. So fortunately, everything was okay. Another thing that I did is on the side here, you see these marks. This is the Capsule Plarail Flying Scotsman has smoke deflectors, which is a really, really nice detail that totally could have been overlooked. Fortunately, I did have to cut these off. As you can see, there's like a little indentation, or what I would call like a groove or a ridge, where that piece of plastic sits. So if you just come along and pull really hard in the right direction, they actually they don't snap off, they don't break. It's actually designed for you to be able to take them off and put them back in. So I was thinking I was going to have to come along and cut these off. But I ended up not having to do that. You essentially were just able to pull them apart, which was really, really nice. So that's pretty much the end of Plarail Capsule Flying Scotsman right here. You did a good job, buddy. I really needed you. This was important. So thanks for thanks for taking one for the team and letting me accomplish this custom. So then we transition over to a Flying Scotsman body like this. And one thing with the 2013 Flying Scotsman, look how far his face protrudes out. This is the learning curve one. Still does it a little bit, but the Flying Scotsman face on the Mattel version is definitely a lot bigger. So I came along, and you guys have to imagine this. Remember on this one, I sawed into the smoke box because I only wanted the face? Well, on this one, I sawed into the face because I needed the smoke box. So I came along and I lined it up as best as I could, and I just started sawing all the way down. But as I got to the bottom here, I was making sure that the saw wasn't going to break through the plastic and start sawing through the wood like on the running board right here, because we are just concerned about the Flying Scotsman's body, not necessarily his face. So unfortunately, I did have to come along and cut Flying Scotsman's face off. It was kind of like when I did the Jock custom. It was just one of those things that didn't really feel right, but I was like, you know what? This is for the greater good, I guess. So I did cut Flying Scotsman's face off, and then at that point we have basically our two pieces to the puzzle. We have a 2013 Flying Scotsman body without a face, and then we have a Capsule Plarail Flying Scotsman without a face and without some smoke deflectors. And so now let's actually talk about what we got going on here. So this is a 2013 Flying Scotsman body. What I did with the face is I just put like some sticky putty on the back. I didn't want to glue it on. I just feel I'm a little bit cautious about doing anything too permanent to my customs, because you never know what's going to arise in the future. But fortunately, you can kind of see it there. I tried to, get the face as flat as possible along the smoke box, but you can kind of see that white stuff behind the face. That's a little bit of putty. And honestly, that was the easiest part. It was just it was a perfect fit. When you take a look at these guys side by side, you can see that the Mattel face is just a tiny bit bigger, but that's actually funny. It's actually, I think it's a little bit of an oversized face. So the Capsule Plarail face just fits perfectly. I mean, it fits like a glove, to be honest. Then I was thinking about doing this, but I wasn't really sure until I had the Capsule Plarail Flying Scotsman in my possession. But I was like, you know what would be really cool is if we could add like some smoke deflector details. And I was like, I considered using some Lego pieces or something, but then when this guy came in the mail, I was like, oh, it has these pieces right and ready to go. So because of the size difference here, obviously these are to different scales, the smoke deflectors are not as big as they could be. They should be covering the entire smoke box at the front. But I actually kind of like how subtle they are and how you kind of have to go looking for them. So maybe that's the only critique there, is if these were custom made, or who knows if another version of the Flying Scotsman came along with smoke deflectors or whatever. In a perfect world, they would be a little bit bigger. But I feel like I got really lucky with the Capsule Plarail Flying Scotsman, and the fact that those pieces were able to just to come right off that toy. So again, I just used some sticky putty. I thought about gluing things, but I was like, ugh, that just makes me really nervous, because if you get it crooked or something, I don't really want to mess it up. So I'll try to get as best of a shot right here. So yes, they are on the smaller side, and look at the bottom. I know it's not focusing in the right area, but you can see that white putty stuff underneath, and I put a lot of it on there because I don't want to lose these guys. It would be a very bad look to have the Flying Scotsman with only one smoke deflector on his side. So a head-on shot like this, you can kind of see, the white putty. That doesn't really bother me. If I ever use this Flying Scotsman for something substantial, maybe I'll come along and try to clean it up just a tiny bit. But honestly, I think it looks great the way it does. I'm just very careful when I handle this model. I just don't want my fingers to come along and move the smoke smoke deflectors here. When I released this picture on Twitter, a couple people were like, yeah, they should be a bit more forward, and I understand that. I don't want them in like the forward position because I want you to be able to see the Flying Scotsman's face. But I just kind of just centered them as best as I could because I know they're out of scale. So once I got one side, I think I got this side right the first time, I was like, okay, that's perfect. I'm just going to leave it there. And I tried to match it up as best as I could over here. And I feel like I did a pretty good job. So there wasn't any major like repainting or anything like that. It was just taking the face from another toy line and placing it over an existing toy that, you know, has both good and bad qualities. But I think we're looking at a very, you know, show-ready Flying Scotsman. This is what he looks like in the Great Race. This is actually what he looked like in the TV series. I can't believe he's been appearing in the TV series. That's kind of surprising. But yeah, this, to me, is what the Flying Scotsman should look like. Obviously, a lot of us, myself included, have very fond memories and are very appreciative of the winking Flying Scotsman because it's become so iconic, but it's not entirely accurate. I mean, I remember as a kid with the Learning Curve version, I was kind of creeped out by the Flying Scotsman. I didn't play with him a whole lot. Now that I'm older and I know exactly what the Flying Scotsman has accomplished in the real world, and then even as like a legendary character in Thomas and Friends, I can appreciate this Flying Scotsman a little bit more. But this, I think, this is kind of a Flying Scotsman that we should have gotten back in 2016, because if you guys don't remember, when the 2016 yearbook came out, it had all of the new Great Race merchandise in it, and there was a section that was devoted, I wouldn't say a section, it was just a spot on the page, it was devoted to the 2016 re-release of the Flying Scotsman. And basically, since the Flying Scotsman was going to be appearing in the Great Race, they were presumably going to bring back this 2013 version. On the pictures that were released, nothing major was ever going to happen. It was probably just going to be a copy and paste thing from 2013 when Mattel got the brand originally. But considering what he looked like in the TV series, especially with the smoke deflectors, I think if we had gotten a re-release of this, it would have been a little bit disappointing because it's like, okay, there's more of an opportunity for people to go out and buy Scotsman, but he doesn't really look like this in the TV series. This version of the Flying Scotsman was always fun because we never got to see the Flying Scotsman's face back in season 3. We only got to see his tenders. So it was just kind of like a what if. What does the Flying Scotsman look like? Now that he has appeared, you know, quite frequently in recent years in the TV series, we know what his face looks like. We know that he has smoke deflectors. We know that he still has 2 tenders. This honestly is just kind of the best of both worlds. So I am particularly happy with this custom. It always feels so much better to make a custom with your bare hands, and I didn't do anything particularly crazy here. The craziest thing I did, honestly, was cutting the face off of this and cutting the face off of this. Both were pretty nerve-wracking. I didn't want to damage the face from here, and I didn't want to ruin the body from here, because these are very hard to find, let alone one that was in, I would consider this excellent condition. It's just that one mark on the front that's hardly noticeable. So considering some of the toys that show up on eBay, they look like they've been through a war zone. I consider myself really, really lucky, and timing was everything. I mean, by the time I decided to go through with this custom, this had popped up on eBay. You used to have to go to some really sketchy websites to get Thomas toys from Japan, but they're actually starting to become more and more popular on eBay. So again, it was just like a total blessing almost to have the 2 parts and pieces that I need come together at just the right time. And overall, this custom wasn't that hard to make. Like I said, I just had to cut off the faces, and the smoke deflectors was just kind of an added thing, but I am really happy with this Flying Scotsman. Granted, it has taken me a while to get used to the unique face. I am just so used, not even the Flying Scotsman's expression, because I have the Trackmaster Flying Scotsman, and that's his face. He actually continues to wink a little bit in the Trackmaster version. It's the fact that his face is so big on his 2013 model and it protrudes so much that makes it just weird. So when you look at a face that is flush up against the smoke box and you're supposed to think of that as the Flying Scotsman, it is just a little bit weird. So I understand if you're taking a look at this for the first time and you're just not really sold on it. I completely agree. I will admit, when I put the face on, I was like, okay, it looks good, but it just doesn't look like the Flying Scotsman to me. It was just too weird. However, having stared at this custom for a while now, It looks like the Flying Scotsman, without a doubt. I am so happy with this custom. Now, here's a bit of information that's probably going to change. I'm filming this video way in advance, and by the time this video actually makes its way to YouTube, some things might have changed. So if the information that's presented here is wrong, I'm sorry, but this is just what I'm going off of right now. As of the making of this video, there is a rumored version of the Flying Scotsman for Thomas & Friends Wood. It's not the unpainted version that was supposed to be released in 2018, it's the painted version that is presumably going to be released sometime in 2019 or 2020 or who knows. And so I think a lot of people are looking forward to that, or maybe if it's already come out, maybe people have been looking forward to it. I don't know, I'm talking all in theoreticals right here. But the reason I did not wait for that Flying Scotsman face is because based on the pictures, it does not look like the face is going to be proportionally accurate to try to transplant over to a 2013 Flying Scotsman. And what I mean by that, I have Thomas & Friends Wood Gordon here, and I don't know if this is accurate because once again, I am dealing in hypotheticals. I think I said theoreticals earlier. I don't think that's a word. I meant hypotheticals, by the way. So, I am basing the pictures we have seen of Thomas Wood Flying Scotsman off of Gordon here because they're essentially the same engine. It would make sense if they reused this. However, the Wood engines have very big faces. Let's take a look here. Look at this. So if the Flying Scotsman for Thomas & Friends Wood is a repainted version of this, and based on the picture, Flying Scotsman's face is going to cover the entirety of his smoke box, look at how big that face is compared to the small smoke box that 2013 Flying Scotsman has. In fact, just so we don't get our faces confused, because that's technically not the right face, look at the area that we're dealing with on this one compared to the Thomas & Friends Wood Gordon over there. So that was my concern. It was like, even when the Flying Scotsman was announced, I immediately thought, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people thought, oh great, that's an opportunity for somebody to come along, cut off the face, put it on a normal, good looking Flying Scotsman, and that would be a great custom. However, if you take a look at that face, I don't think it is going to fit. It would just be way oversized on this version of the Flying Scotsman. Granted, you could come along and try to, trim it down around the edges, but gosh, that would make me nervous. And the Flying Scotsman, it's a 3-pack, so it's presumably going to cost more than just these tender engines. Yeah, they dropped the price when they went over to wood, but they're still decently expensive, and if you mess up a couple times, you're going to be spending a lot of money. So I wanted to bring that point up, and it's so funny because I am dealing with a hypothetical situation here, so I have no idea exactly what's going on. It'll be interesting. Like I said at the making of this video, Thomas & Friends Thomas Wood painted Flying Scotsman has not been released. We've seen pictures of it, but I'm not waiting around for that face because I don't think it is accurate. Now, if you take a look at Gordon in the back there, he has a much bigger smoke box. If you were to try to make a more accurate version of the Flying Scotsman without the big wheels and make him look like Gordon, then you might be able to transplant the face from the Wood Flying Scotsman to a repainted ThomasWoodenRailway Gordon, if that makes sense. So anyway, I wanted to address that because I don't know when this video is going to hit YouTube, and I don't even know if that wood version of Flying Scotsman is ever going to make it to stores, because as of the making of this video, we're kind of like in limbo here. There's a lot of rumors about what's going on with Thomas, but I wanted to make this video so that I could show off this custom as quickly as I could. So guys, it has been an absolute pleasure to show off this custom ThomasWoodenRailway version of the Flying Scotsman. I have a special place in my heart for this Flying Scotsman, but at the end of the day, we all want something that looks like a favorite character that we have on screen, and I truly believe that this Flying Scotsman does the job. I don't really believe there was anything else I could have done with the Scotsman. I did not mess with the tenders, and like I said, I don't have any extra tenders. These are the tenders that belong to the Fisher-Price Mattel Flying Scotsman over here. So I guess I'll end this video with the question everybody's wondering. If the Flying Scotsman comes back in my series, will I use this version or will I try to stick with this version? And honestly guys, I think I am just so proud of this custom right here that it would be very hard for me not to use that version. I understand that it's a little weird to look at in the beginning, but I hope you guys just understand that I'm trying to, strive for what is featured in the TV series and in movies, and I truly believe this is the best route. So, and I don't really feel like I have to defend myself either. I think most people like this are hopefully going to like this version of the Flying Scotsman more than the other one, simply because the face is better and added smoke deflectors, and honestly, that's all I did. That's the only thing I changed. I didn't mess with anything right here. People love to come in and repaint Gordon in the back there and make him look like the Flying Scotsman, which is great, but my talents are more suited in the area, I think, for just minimal changes like cutting off faces or parts or pieces. So I'm going to leave this video right here, but I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. And it's funny, when I'm making this video, it's in 2019, and a lot of the changes for the kids stuff on YouTube has just been announced, and I don't know how it's going to go. But it's very possible you guys may not be able to comment on this video, which is a darn shame if that's the case. But just know, I really appreciate your guys' support. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where you can comment as much as you like, so tell me what you guys think. Once again, I really appreciate your support. Thanks for sticking along during this really long video, and I'll see you guys on the next custom Thomas Wooden Railway item that I have to feature in this series.